Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says the true love for the divine is self-giving, free of demand, full of submission and surrender. It makes no claim, imposes no condition, strikes no bargain, indulges in no violences of jealousy or pride or anger, for these things are not in its composition. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 6, The Book of Fate, Canto 2, The Way of Fate and the Problem of Pain, page 460. Queen, strive no more to change the secret will. Time's accidents are steps in its vast scheme. Bring not thy brief and helpless human tears across the fathomless movements of a heart that knows its single will and God's as one. It can embrace its hostile destiny. It sits apart with grief and facing death, affronting adverse fate armored and alone. In this enormous world standing apart, in the mightiness of her silent spirit's will, in the passion of her soul of sacrifice, her lonely strength facing the universe, affronting fate, asks not man's help nor God's. Sometimes one life is charged with earth's destiny. It cries not for succor from the time-bound powers. Alone she is equal to her mighty task. Intervene not in a strife too great for thee, a struggle too deep for mortal thought to sound. Its question to this nature's rigid bounds, when the soul fronts nude of garbs, the infinite, its too vast theme of a lonely mortal will, pacing the silence of eternity. As a star uncompanioned moves in heaven, unastonished by the immensities of space, traveling infinity by its own light, the great are strongest when they stand alone. A God-given might of being is their force, a ray from self's solitude of light, the guide. The soul that can live alone with itself meets God. Its lonely universe is their rendezvous. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo and our Divine Mother, taken from the compilations of the works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo and our Divine Mother book, Looking from Within. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, for those who have within them a sincere call for the divine, however the mind or vital may present, the difficulties or attacks come, or the progress be slow and painful, even if they fall back or fall away from the path for a time. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, for those who have within them a sincere call for the divine. However, the mind or vital may present difficulties or attacks come, or the progress be slow and painful, even if they fall back or fall away from the path for a time. The psychic always prevails in the end, and the divine help proves effective. Trust in that and persevere, then the goal is sure. Question, sweet mother, what is the difference between faith and trust? For this, our Divine Mother says, faith is something much more integral than trust. You see, you have trust in the divine in the sense that you're convinced that all that comes from Him will always be the best for you. Whatever His decision, whatever is the experience He sends you, or the circumstances in which He puts you, it will be always what is best for you. This is trust. But faith, that kind of unshakable certitude in the very existence of God, faith is something that seizes the whole being. It is not only mental, psychic, or vital, it is the whole being entirely which has faith. Faith leads straight to experience, says our Divine Mother. Question, sweet Mother, can trust be total and entire? For this, our Divine Mother says, not necessarily. Well, there is a shade of difference, however, it is not the same thing. One has given oneself today to the divine work, one has faith in it, not only in its possibility, but faith that is the thing which is true and which must be, and one gives oneself entirely to it without asking what will happen. And so therein or thereon may be grafted a certitude, a confidence that one is capable of accomplishing it, that is, of participating in it and doing it because one has given oneself to it. A confidence that what one is going to do, what one wants to do, one will be able to do. That this realization one wants to attain, one will attain. Our Divine Mother says the first does not put any questions, does not think of the results. It gives entirely itself, entirely to the divine. It gives itself, and then that's all. It's something that absorbs one completely. The other may be grafted upon it. Confidence says, yes, I shall participate. Realize what I want to realize. I shall surely take part in this work. For the other one has faith in the divine. That is, the divine who is all, can do all and does all, and who's the one real existence. And one gives oneself entirely to this faith to the divine. That's all. Our Divine Mother says one has faith in the existence of the divine and gives oneself, and there can also be grafted upon this a trust that this relation one has with the divine, this faith one has in the divine, will work in such a way that all that happens to him, whatever it may be, all that happens will not be an expression of the divine will. That is, of course, understood. But also the best that could happen, that nothing better could have happened to him, since it is the divine who is doing it for him. This attitude is not necessarily a part of faith, for faith does not question anything. It does not ask what the consequence of its self giving will be. It gives itself, and that's all. While confidence can come and say, that's what the result will be, and this is an absolute fact. That is, the moment one gives oneself entirely to the divine without calculating in a total faith, without bargaining of any kind, one gives oneself, and then, come what may,
That does not concern me. I just give myself, automatically it will be always be for you in all circumstances. So, automatically, it will always be for you in all circumstances. At every moment, the best will happen. Not the way you conceive it. Naturally, thought knows nothing, but in reality, well, there is a part of the being which can become aware of this and have this confidence. There is something added to the faith which gives it more strength, a strength of total acceptance and the best utilization of what happens, says our Divine Mother. Divine Mother continues to say, the more you advance, the more vigilant you must become. And the most essential quality is perseverance and endurance, a kind of inner good humor which helps you not to get discouraged, not to become sad, and to face all difficulties with a smile. If you can keep this within you, the cheerfulness, you fight much better, resist much better in the light, these bad influences which try to hinder you from progressing. A smile acts upon difficulties as the sun upon clouds, it disperses them. Someone who knows how to smile in all circumstances is very close to the true equality of soul. Learn to smile always in all circumstances, to smile at your sorrows as well as your joys, your sufferings as well as your hopes, for in a smile there is a sovereign power of self mastery. Our Divine Mother says, to be perfectly sincere, it is indispensable not to have any preferences, any desire, any attraction, any dislike, any sympathy, antipathy, any attachment, any repulsion. One must have a total integral vision of things in which everything is in its place. One has the same attitude towards all things, the attitude of true vision. This is obviously very difficult for a human being to realize unless he has decided to divinize himself. It seems almost impossible that he could be free from all these contraries within him. And yet, so long as one carries them in himself, one cannot be perfectly sincere. Our Divine Mother says, the senses are the instrument which get out of order in the same way as the feelings and thoughts. Therefore, to sure of what you see, what you feel, what you experience and think, you must have a complete detachment. And this is obviously not an easy task, but until then, your perception cannot be wholly true, so it is not sincere. Our Divine Mother says the rejection of desire is essentially the rejection of the element of craving, putting that out from the consciousness itself as a foreign element not belonging to the true self and the inner nature. But refusal to indulge the suggestions of desire is also a part of rejection. To abstain from the action suggested, it is not the right action, must be included in the yogic discipline. It is only when this is done in the wrong way by an ascetic principle or hard rule that can be called suppression. The difference between suppression and an inward essential rejection is between moral or mental control and a spiritual purification. When one lives in the true consciousness, one feels the desires outside oneself, entering from outside, from the universal lower prakriti, into the mind and vital. In the ordinary human condition, this is not felt. Men become aware of the desire only when it is there, when it has come inside, found a lodging. The first condition of getting rid of desire is, therefore, to become conscious with the true consciousness, for then it becomes much easier to dismiss it than when one has to struggle with it as it were a constituent part of oneself to be thrown out from the being. It is easier to cast off an assertion than to exercise what is felt as a parcel of your substance. Our Lord Aurobindo says, when the psychic being is in the front, and then to get rid of desire becomes easy. For the psychic being has itself no desires, it has only aspiration and a seeking and a love for the divine, all things that are tend towards the divine. The constant prominence of the psychic being tends of itself to bring out the true consciousness and set right automatically the movements of the nature, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Progress for the sake of progress, our Divine Mother says, there is a deep trust in the divine grace, a total surrender to the divine will, an integral adhesion to the divine plan, which makes one to do the thing to be done without concern for the result. That is perfect liberation. When you begin to advance towards inner and outer perfection, the difficulties start at the same time. It is the same lesson. One must do as well as one can, the best one can, but without expecting a result, without doing it with a view for the result. Just this attitude to expect a reward for an action, to become good, becomes one thing that this will make life easier, takes away all value for the good action. You must be good for the love of goodness. You must be just for the love of justice. You must be pure for the love of purity. You must be disinterested for the love of disinterestedness. Then you're sure to advance on the way, says our Divine Mother. Therefore, instead of being unhappy, you can be fully satisfied and derive advantage, a great advantage from the harm that was intended against you. Besides, if you truly want to follow the path and practice integral yoga, you must not do it for appreciation or honor. You must do it because it is an imperative need of your being, because you cannot be happy in any other way. Whether people appreciate you or not, do not appreciate you, it is absolutely of no importance. You may tell yourself beforehand that the further you are from ordinary being, foreign to the ordinary mode of being, the less people will appreciate you, quite naturally because they will not understand you. And I repeat, it is absolutely no importance. True sincerity consists of advancing on the way because you cannot do otherwise. To consecrate yourself to the divine life because you cannot do otherwise. To seek to transform your being and come out into the light because you cannot do otherwise, because it is the purpose of your life. When it is like that, you may be sure you are on the right path, says our Divine Mother.
Prayers and Meditations, July 5th, 1914. All that belongs to the outer, lower being, which is still obscure, prostrates itself before thee in a mute and fervent adoration, calling with all its strength thy purifying action, which will make it fit to manifest thee fully. And in this adoration is found perfect silence and perfect beatitude. Thou repliest mercifully to the call, what has to be done will be done. The necessary instruments will be prepared. Strive in the calm of certitude.